Beautiful morning to everyone. We will begin to just sit in the exquisite anticipation of those who will be joining us for a few minutes. So wherever you are in the world, as you join in, make your joining deliberate, make your body posture deliberate. Allow yourself to be in a place of comfort and receivership, opening to and allowing all of the good from a place of beginner's mind. Thank you for saying welcome and hi. Hello, Lori and Audrey. Thank you, Robert, for joining, and Catherine and Penelope. Wherever you are in the world, introduce yourselves to those who are watching with you. Hello, Bob. Ah, how nice. Thank you to my sanctuary, my beautiful space of sacred remembered. Know that as you are joining me, hello, Helene. How nice to see your name there. As you're joining me, you're joining the beautiful, sacred, divine energies of blessed ones, ancestors, divine beings that are welcomed here. And so thank you again for coming. I'm so excited to share with you the message today. And I marvel at how quickly just half an hour goes by. And so let's get to it. And we know that as people join in with us, they do in the right and perfect timing. Also know too that at any time, this is always available. I do start to transfer them over to a YouTube channel in which you can go and participate and go through and find all kinds of old archival footage of teachings. Interesting to watch, and maybe there's something of value there for you as well. So let's get to it. Take a deep breath wherever you are. Wherever you are. Wherever you are. That means physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Wherever you are, it is perfect. Wherever you are, the answer already is. Wherever you are, that which is the allness is fully blossomed, and you and I get to pick from, smell it, invite it, take it in to the degree of our awareness of it. And so perhaps the intention this morning is just to expand that awareness, to expand our clarity, to expand our openness, to expand our consciousness and stretch it so that a larger idea, a greater framework of solution, a larger wave of peace crashes onto the shore of our welcoming heart. And we know that all is well, for all is God. And so everything that is right and perfect energetically within your life, that which is your guides, your spirits, your teachers are here. Those which are my spirits, my guide, my teachers are here. And that portal is open, it is welcoming. And we already celebrate the fact that each of us receives the divine gift. Isn't it wonderful to know that that gift is particularized? It has our name on it. It has our vibration. It has our very heart and soul in it. And it is being handed to us now. And so we receive it and we say thank you. And say thank you. How blessed it is to have technology, to have a way to be able to connect regardless of where we are. We defy geography. And we know that we are together. We are united. As close as breath, as close as the beating of our heart, we are in sync, we are in oneness, and we let it be so. And so it is. Yay, good morning, good morning. So I was thinking about my spiritual lineage because of my hunger to continue to study all kinds of paths. I am always drawn back into a place of honoring my lineage. And the lineage that I was honoring this week and going back to was my metaphysical lineage, my spiritual reawakening, if you will, that started in the 1980s with something called The Science of Mind, written by Ernest Holmes. The Science of Mind, in my humble estimation, is a beautiful amalgamation of ancient teachings presented in such a way that it takes from the consciousness of Ernest Holmes, it takes all of that ancient wisdom, it takes that Eastern bent, and it brings to us beautiful remembrances and blendings of the wisdom of people like Ralph Waldo Emerson, who, from a very radical standpoint, began to realize that God was in all things. That realization came from the observation of nature. The Science of Mind is a blending of the brilliancy of Thomas Troward, who began to look at and understand the creative power behind thought, and that thought is energy. It's the brilliant blending of the compassionate wisdom of Jesus, the Christ, and the way in which he understood how to meet people where they are. By that meaning, in his elevated and continuing elevation of consciousness and his ascension understanding, his Christ consciousness becoming Jesus the Christ, that he knew that the best way to reach people was not through sophistication, but through parable. And when you start to see the flavors of how all of these things are blended in, then Ernest Holmes took that and from his heart produced The Science of Mind. And one of its strong suits is application, and that application has to do with prayer and our approach to prayer. Because you see, many of us had a background, and many still do, that somehow prayer is a supplication or a beseeching of something external, a God, a deity. And we've done that through the level of our understanding up to this point in time. But what Ernest tried to begin to introduce to us was scientific prayer, that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. So the word that we are speaking is not going to God, but it is with God. In other words, we're not praying to, we're praying as. It was a wonderful, wonderful mental reset for me, something that was challenging, something that I found I struggled with from time to time, because old indoctrination wanted to teach me that, or wanted to pull me back, rather, into wanting to ask rather than learning to open up and to reveal. Open up and reveal the solution that's already there. And as I was reflecting on my lineage this week, it was all of the things that were most profound to me from my studies, from my divinity degree, from my years in teaching this philosophy. And it all boiled down to a paragraph. A paragraph, not from the big, large textbook called The Science of Mind, but from one of the earliest writings of Ernest Holmes, and it was called Creative Mind and Success. Many years I traveled. I had the fortunate, graceful opportunity to be able to visit, to speak, to teach, to blend in with so many congregations, spiritual centers, and churches in the New Thought world, of which Science of Mind is part of that philosophy. And in one of those years, I was gifted with an early edition of Creative Mind and Success, the book that I was referencing earlier. Creative Mind and Success was written in 1919, long before the Science of Mind book was finished. And it is in this book that paragraph that still speaks to me today echoes. It echoes in my heart and in my mind and in my consciousness. And I'm always curious as to why. And I always know that there are unlimited layers by which we can dissect something. And so I went back to that paragraph today. And it is in Creative Mind and Success by Ernest Holmes. And he simply says, a good practice is to sit and realize that you are a center of divine attraction, that all things are coming to you, and that the power within is going out and drawing back all that you will ever need. That you and I are centers of divine attraction. I am the center of divine attraction. Say that wherever you are. You say that. I am the center of divine attraction. What does that feel like? I am the center of divine attraction. And I remember almost like electricity going through my body when I would say that. And I would get this visual of a bullseye, like a target. And I would imagine that there were angels who were archers who with bows and arrows, and that every time I had a desire, every time I had a longing, a sacred desire, a sacred longing, that which was equated to evolution within me. The moment as that occurred, that bow and arrow from that celestial angel was pulled back and released, and that I am the center of divine attraction. So the moment that I had the desire is the moment by which that arrow would pierce my heart, and it would bring to me a realization. It wouldn't bring me the desire, the manifestation of the desire, because the manifestation of the desire was in me, but it would pierce my heart, and it would open and reveal to me that it was there, that what I was seeking was already within me, that what I craved and hungered and longed for was already a part of me. And it was powerful. And I would walk around all of the time going, I am the center of divine attraction. I am the center of divine attraction. I am the center of divine attraction. And I was thinking about that a lot this week. I got to read the whole paragraph because it's just so beautiful. It says, a good practice is to sit and to realize that you are a center of divine attraction. That all things are coming to you. Not some things, all things. All things are coming to you. And that the power within, not external power, but the power within you and I is going out, drawing back all that you and I will ever need. And then he says, don't argue about it, just do it. I used to joke a lot when I would teach this because I thought, well, Nike owes Ernest Holmes some residuals. Don't argue about it, just do it. And when you have finished, in other words, when you have finished using the law of word, when you have finished the prayer, when you have surrendered it to the all, then leave it to the law, knowing that it will be done. Declare that all life, all love, and power are now in your life. Declare that you are now in the midst of plenty. Stick to it, even though you may not as yet see the result. It will work, and those who believe the most naturally always get the most. Think of the law as your friend. I love that. Think of the law as your friend, not as something punitive, not as something punishing, not from a definition of karma that says, ooh, not from the old energy of the reaping and sowing that is finger wagging, but think of the law as your friend. Think of the law as your friend, almost parental in nature, equally desiring that you and I return to the awareness that we are in the midst of plenty. Think of the law as your friend, always looking out for your interests. Then trust completely in it, and it will bring you your good. I remember reading that over and over and over again. I remember there were times when I was like, yes, like I could get on board with that so easily without any resistance. And then there were times in the midst of some type of darkness or sometimes some forgetfulness that I would think almost that this was like spiritual bypass. Like, who do you think you are telling me that I'm in the midst of plenty when I am suffering and I am in pain? And it's fascinating. It's fascinating to look at the ebb and flow. It's fascinating to become curious about the way in which we are, not just in one particular state, but how we are. The sustainability of the I amness, that I am the center of divine attraction, even when it appears as though there is nothing there. So I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book about polarity. Doesn't sound like a very exciting subject, does it? and I've been watching myself, because the few people that I've talked to about the book and the process of the book, and they say, well, what's it about? And I say, well, it's about the principle of polarity. You know, the old Hermetic law that talks about how every truth is a half-truth and every half-truth is a truth. It sounds kind of dry, but I want you to know the book is in no means dry. It is a story, it is a narrative of that ebb and flow, of the pain and the suffering and the beauty, and how all of that, through my own personal life and all of those that I have been privileged to be in community with, how we navigate that in human form. How we navigate that in human form. And personally, I have, if I'm allowed to have a favorite, it is my favorite law. The principle of polarity, the law of polarity has become my favorite law, because I realize that if I can be masterful with the law of polarity, that all of the other laws, all of the other principles, to me, are a piece of cake. If I can know that when there is night, that night is an illusion, that darkness is an illusion, because the only thing that is really real is the constancy of light, then I will have been able to master all of my forgetfulness. And so you see, to say that you and I live in elongated states of illusion, that this thing called a human experience is an illusion, is not dismissive. It's very accurate. But the illusion is very real for us, and it should be very real for us, because it is a part of the curriculum by how you and I evolve into greater states of mastery. Without the illusion, there wouldn't be the journey. And so aren't we amazing? Because what we have done is, in the presence of this thing called the night or darkness, we invent artificial lights that are equipped to automobiles, which help us navigate through the darkness. And even though this thing, which is darkness, is very, very real to us, the only reality is that there is light. But we will invent things to help us navigate through the illusion. So we invent beliefs that help us navigate through the illusion. There was a teacher of a wise Zen master who observed the Zen master crying over the death of his son. And he was confused by that. And he went to the Zen master and he says, I don't understand, O Baba, O teacher, why you are crying. You have taught us that death is an illusion. And the Zen teacher just looked at him with these tear-filled eyes and he said, yes, you're right. Death is an illusion. And the death of a son is probably one of the greatest illusions of them all. And so polarity teaches me that in the external, the all of the I am, the fact that I am the center of divine attraction, there will be times when I will relish in the beauty of that, and I will know wholeheartedly that indeed, even as I speak it, even before I speak it, it is there. That the divine archer releases that arrow and activates the manifestation of that, just like that. It's what some mystics call flying in the face of the mirror, that the moment that I have the desire is revealed. And then there are times when I am in the valley of the shadow of death, when I am in the dark night of the soul, and even in that place there is beauty. I was remembering in my early travels of being asked to go to Calgary, to a spiritual center there, because they were without a minister. And I agreed to go for about a month and a half. I didn't stay the month and a half, but I would travel back and forth where I was living in Los Angeles because it was not that far of a flight. And at the time, I was being very much influenced by this paragraph in Creative Mind and Success. And so I was teaching that. And as I looked over the crowd in this center, I noticed that the auditorium was split into 3 sections. There was a left side, an aisle, a center, an aisle, and a right side. And very spontaneously, just like we do at sports events where people do the wave, if you've seen that, I said, all right, I want this section, the section on the left, I want you to, when I cue you, to stand up with your hands in the air and go, I am. And then I want you in the center to go, the center of. And then I want you on the right to say, of divine attraction. I am the center of divine attraction. I am the center of divine attraction. And on cue, I began the process, and like magic, each section would stand up and they would shout with enthusiasm their part. I am. And then the center of. And then divine attraction. And I kept it going. I kept the rhythm of it going, and it got a little frenzied, and we kept going until almost it was as if we were like a whirling dervish, that we had lost ourselves in the beauty of the mantra after about 4 minutes, and then we stopped. And everybody started to laugh and to feel the ecstasy of that remembrance. And I thought about that this week, and I thought, that's what polarity is. There are sections of it. The I am, which is the macro, which is the God, that rises to the top. The center of, which is my responsibility to recognize and to align with the I am. Of divine attraction, and that when the combination of those 2 things happen, I can appreciate the gift, I can see the gift of the divine attraction. And what polarity has taught me is that everything is a divine attraction. The pain and suffering is a divine attraction. It isn't just a good attraction or a bad attraction. All of the pain and suffering, and this is for your consideration, all of the pain and suffering that you have experienced or are experiencing is a divine attraction from the I am. Because it is a part of that curriculum. It is the night, it is the darkness, and that none of it is bad. So the principle of polarity says what? All truths are half-truths. So all truths are half-truths, and all half-truths are truths. What does that mean? That means that whatever identities, whatever beliefs that you and I carry, it has a spectrum to it. It has a full-blown, if you will, and who knows how you and I will ever get there, but it has a full-blown realization of the all. I think that the human container can only take so much of that before we would explode. But in the infinite expression of the all, that is on one side of the spectrum of this polarity. And then on the other, there is a diminished degree of that allness. And yet it is conjoined. It is not separate, it is not opposite. And the word opposite is used often to describe this principle of polarity. And so even the pain and the suffering and the longing is a part of the beautiful, ecstatic dance that you and I do with the all. And so here's the thing. We must stop or we must cease, or we must lessen trying to get rid of something. We must cease the desire to get rid of something. Because in the desire to get rid of, to run away from, to damn, to label, futurizes, pushes away our realization of that light that is there. I am the center of divine attraction. That I amness never, ever, ever betrays us. It is never watered down. It is not diluted in any way. It just appears that way based upon where we are in the center of our being and our ownership of that I amness. So what is our work to do in the world? It isn't about trying to decorate the external world, to decorate and to curate our friendships and our geography and our places. All of those things are fun. There's nothing wrong with them. But the placement of those things and the curation of what is pleasing and what is not pleasing is where the fallacy lies, because all of it is a part of the divine attraction. So how are you and I with the pain? And yes, predominantly I'm talking about emotional pain. Yes, predominantly I'm talking about the realities, the small r realities of abandonment and abuse and the thought of having to preserve our heart for fear of being hurt again. But yet all of that is a part of the beauty. I expressed to someone this week, I said, what I've come to remember is that I am a man who is in perpetual longing. There is this ache, there is this longing inside of me. And I realized that many of my mistakes, if you will, have been about trying to push away the longing. And again, nothing wrong with that. That is a part of my divine attraction, because with each suppression, it only enhances the longing until the longing must be heard. And I realized, as I said to this person, that the longing is beautiful. It's a beautiful pain, because it is the thing that ceaselessly draws me to the one. It ceaselessly draws me to a greater reality of what love is. It makes me so hungry for God that I would not want to deny any of the process. And so you and I are the center of divine attraction. And so that which we would want to hide, or that which we are ashamed of, is a part of the divine attraction. As I heard someone, a colleague years ago, beautifully say, hey, when you make a mistake, paint it red. In other words, don't hide it away like a skeleton in the closet. Bring it out and say, oh, look at this. Because with each thing that we love and each thing that we place upon the altar and we look at it, we look at the shame, we look at the fault finding, we look at, oh my God, there's my ego again. Oh my God, there's my fear of losing control. And when we can begin to love all of those things, then the I am in the center of my being takes all of that divine attraction and it blends it and it molds it and it fashions it into something that serves me so profoundly. Even though all of it serves me, it serves me in the realm of light rather than in the realm of darkness. truths, if that makes sense. The principle of polarity, all truths are but half-truths. So whatever truth you and I are walking around with, the half-truth of that is that there's an illusion to it. And the illusion is good. What? The illusion is good. It serves us in some way. It fuels the longing. It enhances the nature of the seeker inside of us. It's the thing that sometimes causes us to be still. It's the thing that sometimes drops us to our physical or our metaphoric knees. And nothing is bad. And everything is good. And depending upon where you are in your life, depending upon what you have seen in the world, and I've seen some stuff. There are things that I've seen in developing countries that I can't unsee. And so I don't speak about this flippantly. I speak about this from a place of realizing and being in awe of the curriculum that I am being asked time and time and time again to see the half-truths in my identities so that a bigger truth can be revealed, so that an identity can die inside of me. The identity that labels things as unbearable, the identity in me that labels things as bad, the identity within me that can only see suffering from the lens of inhumane. And it says, you will not survive. You will not survive the work that you are called to do if you do not let that identity die. You must step into a greater realm of perception. And that greater realm of perception does not mean that you do not become involved or that you do not advocate. But now you become involved from a place that encompasses it all rather than trying to push and prevent. Encompasses it all and loves it all, and transfiguration begins to occur rather than trying to distance and push away and overcome and punish. And I know that it doesn't make sense. That truth doesn't make sense in a world that will tell us that there is a right and there is a wrong. That this action is this and this action is that this is sacred and this is profane. But it's there, it's deep, it's a calling. So how do I synthesize that? You are the center of divine attraction. All that is good, Ernest Holmes said, all that is good, all that you seek, makes its way to you. Not from the realm of the external, but it makes its way to you already inside through our recognition of it. So we postpone that recognition. Hear me. We postpone that recognition when we try to get rid of it. But the arrow from the divine pierces our heart, breaks open that identity, and reveals to us the fact that solution, the thing that we want, has always been there. But you and I realize it when we learn to embrace and to love all things. All things. All things are working together for our good, to them that love the Lord, or to them that love and understand the law, because the law loves us. Do not fret, my friends. Or at least do not stay in the energy of fretting. Do not push your pain away, but do not let the pain lead you into such a place that it clouds your understanding of the light. Do not curse the darkness. Do not become vengeful at those who have wronged you. but begin to realize and know that your destiny, if you will, your power lies in the understanding that you are the center of divine attraction, that everything that you need is there and is revealed to you and I, one unveiling, one unveiling, one unveiling after another. May you be blessed and live in harmony, joy, and peace.